U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry is heading to the Middle East to expand the coalition pledging to fight IS. The trip follows the announcement of a core coalition of 10 nations last week following the NATO summit. The U.S. is also asking China to help with the fight. Nathan King joins us now from our Washington newsroom with the details. Nathan.
Yeah, that's right, Elaine. U.S. National Security Advisor Susan Rice asked China to be part of the growing coalition, ending her three-day trip to Beijing. U.S. officials are now discussing with China what contributions they can offer. But for now, the U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry is headed to the region that the terrorist group Islamic State has ravaged. U.S. Secretary John Kerry is heading back to the Middle East, this time not to try and build peace, but a core coalition for a war against terror group, the Islamic State.
The purpose of building this coalition, particularly in the region, is so it is a multilateral effort. This cannot be a United States-only effort, nor should it be. But just practically speaking, to really do all of the things we have to do to fight against ISIS, we need countries in the region who are at most direct threat from ISIS to step up to the plate and join this coalition.
Here's what the U.S. is looking for from the region. Other nations to join the fight militarily, training, arming and equipping local groups that could take on Islamic State, help with intelligence gathering and tightening national borders to stem the flow of foreign fighters fighting for Islamic State, and also to help forge political solutions for stability in the region. But with allies like Saudi Arabia frustrated with the slow pace of U.S. policy over Syria, there may be some hesitation about taking on the Islamic State. U.S. Defense Secretary Chuck Hagel has already visited Turkey, who are reluctant to allow the use of their air bases for any U.S. airstrikes in Iraq. They're also worried that arming Kurds in northern Iraq could embolden separatist Kurds within Turkey. Turkey's also concerned about the fate of 46 of its citizens who have been seized by the Islamic State from the country's consulate in Mosul. US President Barack Obama has already met with Jordan's King Hussein on the sidelines of the recent NATO summit. Jordan has excellent intelligence services and have bases for training Syrian rebels. They also have good connections with Sunni tribes in Iraq who are being urged to fight the Islamic State. But Jordan, like others in the region, already has a massive refugee problem from the Syrian civil war and feels financially and physically stretched. Complicating matters are regional rivalries. Saudi Arabia and Qatar are rivals, and Iran sponsors rival groups throughout the region. Could they really work together to bring down the Islamic State?
What we've seen over the past 10, 11 years is jockeying by all different sides to try and take advantage of the new security framework in the Middle East, precisely because they've been fighting against one another, meaning if Saudi Arabia is saying, I'm fighting against Iran because if Iran's winning, I'm losing, that's zero-sum security. That's not sustainable.
U.S. diplomacy did receive a boost ahead of John Kerry's trip to the region. The Arab League agreed to take all necessary measures to confront the Islamic State. This coalition-building effort by the U.S. in the Middle East is an attempt to unite a region around a common foe, not something the region is used to doing, Elaine.
And Nathan, Secretary Kerry wants this core coalition ready for the UN General Assembly meetings in New York just a few weeks from now. What is likely to happen there?
Yeah, well, a few days ago, we thought the focus was going to be purely on getting the international community to react to the spread of foreign fighters into Iraq and Syria to support Islamic State, some sort of international ruling on that. But given the amount of effort that they're putting into the region and the coalition they want to build, there is a lot of talk about perhaps getting blanket cover for some sort of inter-regional intervention when it comes to Islamic State. Could they be going for a UN Security Council resolution to allow them to go into Syria? We'll have to wait and see, but they are trying to build the biggest, broadest international coalition possible so that when they go to New York, the eyes of the world will be on the threat from Islamic State.
All right, Nathan King in our Washington newsroom.